And welcome back. If you watched my previous video, you may well have noted I was hinting at a few major changes to my camping setup. Well, today I'm going to recount the evolution of my camper from this to this. So please try stay with me, as I'm sure there'll be something within this video that will be of use to most car or micro campers. Well, starting with perhaps my most basic of setups from way back, when we first switched from a tent to using our car to camping. Well, it was a very simple affair. I made an extension to the sleeping area using a raised spacer to bridge the gap across the footwells of the rear seats, then used either a single or double airbed to sleep on. This worked fine in summer, but in winter the cold travelled up through the steel floor, and even the airbed was no barrier. Of course, the first part of the solution was to lift up the carpets and install a barrier of some sort of insulation. I then started to create what I later called my sleeper cassette. This box-like construction was designed to sit permanently in the back of the car, then fold out when I had taken out the rear seats. The cassette is light and simply slides into the back of the car, where it sits, hardly affecting the day-to-day use of the vehicle as the family motor, allowing for the usual storage and other items such as shopping to be placed on top. It just blends into the car and you forget it's there until you are ready to use it. To switch to camper mode, I simply remove the rear seats, screw in the legs and fold over the platform, which is hinged off the main body and supported by the legs. This still provides some amount of storage in both the footwells and over what was the seat base. You will also notice the drawer which hides my dual stove. This works really well. It allows the stove to be left in the vehicle, yet out of sight and harm's way. This is ideal for both camping trips and days out, and has saved us lots of money, allowing us to pull up anywhere and make either a brew or a meal, which is far cheaper than cafe prices and often with far better views. The sleeping arrangements, though pretty basic at this time, were very functional, if not luxurious. I was still sleeping on those blow-up airbeds, though things evolved bit by bit. Homemade blinds were replaced by better-looking ones given by a friend, and the behind the front seats blackout curtain, originally made from a beach blanket, was replaced by a curtain track and proper curtains. Though functionality was the byword, I was still endeavouring to create something of the home-from-home vibe. Little by little I was either trying to upgrade my gear or at least make it more durable. Cheap, crappy storage boxes which neither looked good nor were very robust were replaced by tougher ones made from recycled plastic and strong enough to stand on. Multi-use or versatile are my favourite words, and so I'd made these boxes into stools or handy work surfaces. As an example of make do or mend, I was in need of a power source to drive my little TV and to charge my laptop and mobile phone. I always think, why spend the money when I've probably got enough parts to fabricate something useful? I had a spare battery, and though a little on the heavy side, it has never really let me down, though it has itself been repurposed elsewhere and now been replaced with something a little lighter. With space within a micro camper or car very much at a premium, it's important to make use of every inch of space you've got. So I made this very useful side awning from some heavy-duty tarpaulin and some spare tent poles. It hangs from a rail on the roof rack, taking up very little space when travelling. It is light and easy to transport. It's like having a quick and easy side room, and I find it's very handy to get out of wet things before entering your van or to provide some shade on hot summer days. Okay, on the majority of my trips, it does tend to be just me as a solo camper, or me and the dog. And although, yes, both myself and my wife can fit in the car, it's far roomier to take along with us either an extra tent or, better still, a tailgate awning tent. If you saw Micro Camper Diaries number 22, which I filmed way back in August of last year, I tried out several of the cheaper awnings currently on the market with differing levels of success. Of the ones I tested at the time, I surprisingly decided that this one from Temu was the best in the test, based on build quality and ease of pitching, though in my mind it did lack the ability to be left freestanding, as it didn't have a rear door or cover, so anything left inside would be on full view if you drove away. I'm always reminding people to look out on eBay or the free and for sale pages on Facebook. There are always bargains to be had. This top box I acquired last year very cheaply. Comes in very handy for transporting some of the lighter items of kit. One top tip is if you can fit an aerial forward of the box, it acts as an early warning system for low roofs and barriers. And where better for placing a solar panel to charge up your power bank than on the top of your roof box? Right, we're getting more up to date and where I am today with the latest reincarnation of my camper. Okay, the weather people never said it, but it seemed to be the longest, wettest and dreariest winter on record. And cooking out the back of the van just wasn't doing it for me anymore. It was no longer a pleasant place to cook from, standing in the wind and the rain, and it let all the heat out of the van. It was time for a change. I needed to move my cooking setup inside my van somehow. So it was out with the pens, rulers and crayons to design a new kitchen. I still had the usual parameters in that it had to be light, manoeuvrable, in that it still won't be a permanent structure within the vehicle, and it had to be easy to get in and out of the car and not take up much storage space when placed elsewhere. Oh, and as usual, it had to be as multi-use as possible. During a recent search on the for sale sites, I picked up a caravan sink for £5. This encouraged me to make the sink unit first and dictated to some degree the size of the units. With my very limited woodworking skills and my need for something that was both strong and yet lightweight, I used 9mm ply and set to, taking advantage of the first sunny days in ages to work outdoors. Though the units may look similar, they aren't. The stove unit was made narrower. As the sink unit's width was dictated by the size of the sink, the stove didn't require such depth. Fortunately, the sink retreats into the recess of the side doors. Space is always at a premium. After a dry test, the units were fully assembled and painted. It still reminds me of a kid's toy kitchen, but it works. I've used my kitchenette, as I call it, on a couple of trips, and I love it, though I'm struggling a bit due to lack of space. The problem lies with the headroom. I'm about 6 feet tall, and if I use any kind of seat, I'm painfully bent over, so I end up sitting on the floor. If you watched my previous video, I mentioned a spoiler alert and that I have a very difficult decision to make. Well, this is it. Sadly, I need more headroom in my van, and to gain this, my only option is to remove my much loved and used sleeper cassette. This will give me more height, but it does bring back the age-old problem of sleeping off a cold floor. Fortunately, a solution appeared in my local freebies. This bed was advertised on local Facebook, and yes, it was free. It's a single bed. I didn't quite know what I'd got until I'd unboxed it. Fortunately, it came with the original instructions, and after laying out all the parts to ensure everything was there, I assembled it into bed form. I knew from the start I was going to have to alter it to make it fit, but that's where all the fun comes from. Now, though I knew it wasn't going to work in its current state, I did have to try it out in the car, just for fun. It wasn't long before I was out with a hacksaw and drill, reducing the width of the frame by roughly half and a little off the length, and reassembling it back together. To be honest, it's even stronger than before and surprisingly lightweight. I replaced the original slats with some cut-offs of ply and created the option of narrowing or widening the bed as desired. I used a Z-bed as a mattress, which when tested was incredibly comfortable. So how long does it take to change from a car to a camper? Let's find out. Number 1, I removed the rear seats. Two, I place 2 ply sheets to make a consistently level floor. 3, I roll out my rubber floor mats. 4, in goes the kitchen sink unit. Notice how light it is and how it sits back towards the door frame. 5, it's the stove section. I sometimes move these a little when in use, and in case you were wondering, nothing moves when sat on those rubber mats. 6, the bed frame is so light I can lift it from one end. I store it in one piece, but I neglected to mention it can be taken apart if required. And finally, the Z-bed provides the mattress. I can sleep on it, but if the bed's width is extended, there is an extra cushion. Obviously, I've left out many of the bits and bobs, such as lighting, baggage, picnic chairs, etc., but you do get the gist. In today's video, I wanted to show everyone how simple it is to convert your everyday car or van into your own mini camper, for whenever you get the urge to get out there and enjoy some fresh air, thus allowing you some degree of comfort all year around, no matter what the weather throws at you. And how you can start with something very basic and cheaply build up your kit over time and have fun, just as I've done. Please, if you find my ramblings in any way useful or entertaining, do consider giving me a like. Tell your friends to look out for my videos and leave a comment. Subscribing costs nothing, helps you catch the next video and motivates me to carry on. You can also pop over for a natter to the Facebook group. Barring problems, videos go out every 2 weeks on a Friday at 6 p.m. So make a date in your diary for the next video on the 22nd of May. Once again, thank you all so very much for watching and see you again soon. Bye for now.